All right. What's good, people? This is For the Lag of God, and today we are talking to Kym Vincenti, country, blues, and jazz singer and songwriter. What's good, Kym? What's
Hello, how are you
cooking?
doing?
I'm very well, thank you. You?
Yeah, not so bad, not so bad at all.
Good, good. It's a pleasure to have you here. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Um, as a well, like as we were speaking in before, the kind of icebreaker stuff is I quite enjoyed your story, and also like we've spoken to like rappers and more of the hip hop scene. So you're also our first other genre artist as well. So
Oh, awesome.
so yeah, got a nice little award. Well, I say award. I haven't gone out and bought a trophy, but you got it there if you want it.
Thank you. I like it.
um,
I'll have a virtual trophy. That'll do.
Alright, yeah, it's a pleasure to have another genre as well. So thank you.
Right,
Um,
be here.
lovely, lovely. All right, so um, as we said, you're a country blues and jazz singer songwriter.
Hmm.
So, and you said in the get to know section that we posted up the other day for you. You're inspired by like Eva Cassidy, who I also remembered wrote Fields of Gold, and I really love her version of Fields of Gold. I think it's that brings tears to my eyes every time I hear it, to be honest.
Mm.
Um, but so you're heavily inspired by that sort of genre. But are there any other genres that have inspired you?
I've got to say, pretty much all of them. Remember, I'm 61 now. So
Mm,
it's been I've seen a lot of music progression throughout my life. And I come from the East End of London, actually. But my granddad, who I lived with, used to sing in the war. So he was always singing around the house.
mm,
And my uncle, who also lived in the house, he had a really successful band in the 60s, like from our neck of the woods.
mm.
Um, so they'd have band practice and musicians in the house all the time. Um, so it was something that we always had. We always had music, and we'd do the top of the charts thing on the radio, every week you'd sit there and listen. So, and also I had like great aunts who played the piano. So it was a very musical kind of
Mm.
environment anyway.
Sounds like a very musical family.
Yeah, and I just grew up with that and it never really ended for me. So I've always been more of a listen to music person than I have been a watch TV person.
Mm.
So I've gone through it all, God, I was really into Blondie in my teens. Texas, Charlene Spiteri is another,
Yeah,
iconic
oh, yeah,
person.
absolute legend.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But then, I love all the blues and jazz, and I love like Diana Krall and Eva Cassidy. For me, was just the epitome of. She was so talented, and it was such a tragic story. But when you watch any of her live sessions, she's just incredible,
Mm.
incredible. And one of my favorite songs ever is a song called Nightbird, and not many people know it. Everybody knows Songbird, but nobody
Mm.
knows Nightbird. And if you get a chance to listen, then yeah,
Yeah,
just incredible.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love
So
that.
everyone, the police, obviously I went through all that. ABBA, when I was about 11 or 12, I think. Um,
Yeah.
back in the day when we used to dance in formation, we used to dance in line, although it wasn't line dancing.
Mm. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
every kind of everything. And these days I'll listen to everything apart from I'm not a fan of heavy metal.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same as well. Like I don't mind heavy metal, but I do, as I've said on the lives and stuff, like I don't mind it, but I find it very difficult to listen to the sort of high sort of scream and the very low like sort of rumbling of the voice growls.
Yeah.
They're the sort of, yeah, like I won't lie, they're the two bits that I find really difficult to listen to. Like
Yeah.
I'm not like, I'm not disapproving of the people's talents. There's talent to do it, and obviously a massive market for it, but it's just not quite to my thing. But when they come out of the growls and the screams, some of them have incredible voices. You know what I mean? They've got
Yeah, the
incredible
power
voices.
behind them is insane.
Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
so
just
I'd like give me one where it's a proper singy. I'm anyone's. You know what I mean? I'm
yeah.
anyone's. I'm anyone's. All right. So with that, um, are there any other genres that you'd be willing to try?
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that I write is folky, you know, and I'm not a rock singer. I don't think I have the power for it. I have quite a low register, you know, I have that mellow kind of thing going on. There's a bit of power there, but I don't think I could ever do, you know, any of those big rock songs. And to be fair, I wouldn't really want to, because it's not, you know, I kind of, in my head, I would be in a smoky old jazz club with a pianist. Do you know what I mean? That would be me in a little slinky dress, and yeah, that's the vibe I kind of like.
Yeah, yeah, sort of like the lo-fi sort of stuff, just there, nice and chill, drinking wine, and yeah, I mean, like
That's the one.
maybe a smoke, depending on the type of feel you want, smoky jazz rooms and stuff like that.
I
Like,
know. I mean, it's not the done thing now, but back in the day, before everyone knew how dangerous it was, you know, I used to be a smoker. I think my generation, of course, we were smokers, but it's not the done thing now. You have to get dry ice going on to give it the, you know, the impression.
I'll just get one of those. I don't know. Go and get one of those tobacco candles or something. Just ban that. You know? that way you don't have to have the smoke, but you've got the smell. Like
That's it. The ambience.
exactly. Yeah, you don't want itchy eyes. You know, it's just as you say, it's the ambience, the aesthetic of it all. So
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
yeah. All right, little different one for you, but if you had to collaborate with anyone, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's an interesting. If I had to collaborate with anyone, what sort of anyone famous?
Yeah, you could do famous or not famous. Yeah, it's literally just
Alive or dead?
anyone you want. Anyone you
Alive,
want.
anyone, it would be
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury. Can you imagine sharing a stage with Freddie Mercury?
To be honest, I'd be far too nervous. I'd be far too nervous. That man's presence
I know.
was something else.
I know,
So,
exactly. But just, yeah, that would be God, just to, you know, just, yeah, for me, that would be incredible.
yeah, like his presence, and you know his status as well. Like to be up there, with someone like that, I think I'd probably black out on the stairs up the stage. I'll be
He's
like, no, we're good. I'll
absolute
get a drink.
belief in himself, you know, he's absolute. There was, you know, no doubt in his mind of who and what he was. And I find that so inspiring.
Yeah, and as you know, what was it? Four of them, wasn't it? Him, like, but yeah, no, you know, like the way that they all bought their, like they all could write songs, they all played instruments, and they all brought their own different bits to, you know, to Queen as a whole, as well
Yeah.
as what they did individually. So yeah, like
It's such a unique sound, you know. Yeah, I love, still love Queen, still play Queen. Yeah.
yeah, my dad was quite a Queen fan, to be honest. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of where I got into it.
Yeah, Seven Seas of Rye was the first album. I think I was 13, 14, something like that. And just, yeah, it was just so unique. Loved it.
Mm, mm, nice. Also, he was like, I don't know. I won't lie. I do find it hard. Like Bohemian Rhapsody is a very good song. I'm not taking it away. You know, it's a thing, but it's, I don't know. I think probably one too many weddings. I guess I'm done. I'm done.
Had enough of it. Yeah.
Yeah, one too many. I'm all right.
But you know, everybody knows it. I mean, that's something. The whole world knows that song. That's
Yeah.
an incredible achievement.
Again, goes like to his status and their status as well. You know, to be able to write and perform such music, like,
Which could really have been nonsense, you know, but it's just the way that it's done, isn't it? It's incredible.
Oh yeah, Freddie. It's a Freddie Mercury. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I've got, you know, obviously high ambitions.
Hey, hey, shoot for the stars. You know what I mean? Shoot for the stars. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Do you want to do an alive one, or do you want to take that as the one?
And a live one.
Yeah.
I let me see. An alive one. Gosh. I can't think, that of anyone that I would really like to collaborate with. I guess somebody like, do you know who's got fire? Someone like Shania Twain. She's a great icon, isn't she? And she's done amazingly well for herself. But
Hmm.
there's some people on stage where they're just, I don't know, they're other dimensional. There's something more about them. I think she's one of them. Um, Someone like that, because they're just so inspiring. Who knows, you might pick up some of their energy.
Mm. Oh, it's as well, like with things like that, as there are like with alter egos as well. You know what I mean? Like you could be. I mean, I don't know if Shania Twain is like how Shania is on stage. I don't know. I don't know much about Shania Twain. All I know is that don't impress me much, and I'm well happy. Like like was it? I've forgotten it. I had it, and I've forgotten it. And it feels like a woman, and then they want to have a little bit of fun. But you know the one, man. I feel like a woman. That's the one, mate. Get me that. I'm anyone's.
This
Love
is
a
a
bit of
confessional.
hey, hey.
A confessional.
I love that track.
It is a great track, and she,
But
she does all her own editing.
mm,
She has the ideas for her images, for her, outfits and everything. She's just got it all going on. I watched a documentary on her, and yeah,
mm,
she's a true icon.
yeah. So with that kind of like, so would you say the state what she does on stage is also sort of a character, or is that part of her? Because that was kind of where I was going, like how.
I think it's a character.
Mm,
Yeah, I do. I think it's a character and alter ego, but she's clearly just incredibly talented. One of those creatives that
yeah.
can just, like I say, she edits her own music, and that's a huge skill, isn't it?
Mm,
Mm.
mm,
Yeah.
definitely.
And of course, how can I forget Charlene Spiteri? Should be a really good one to collaborate with, because just some of the lyrics in some of the, like Rick's Road is probably my favorite Texas album, and some of the lyrics are just that they get you deep. They're really good. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. That's very nice. I like that. I like that. It's lovely.
Mm.
Lovely. Okay. Uh so with with the get to know questions you answered, and then also like a couple of the other interviews that I've gone over with you in them and stuff. And like you've spoken about writing a book. You've spoken about the like blogging, and stuff like that. So and you said in the get to know as well that you've spent all of your life writing and stuff. So
Mm.
like, did you find it hard kind of going from blogging and writing books to writing music? Although something tells me you probably didn't. Now that we know your entire family was very musical, so that kind of seems a bit redundant. But did you was there like a change of sorts, or did it just come
No,
naturally?
I think that I think that I came into this world with that innate skill to be able to write stuff. I've never had writer's block. I've ghostwritten people's books for them. I've written theatre scripts. I've written a musical theatre. I've written blogs. I've written articles. I've written for magazines. I've written lyrics. I've written poetry. I was writing poetry at 11, I think. But it's this word thing for me. And it's like writing is how I've always made sense of the world. I've been doing it since I was young. Um, and turning that into lyrics, if you've listened to any of my stuff, or if you ever do, I'm a storyteller. I'm telling a story in the song,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't, because of that writing skill and writing history, I don't necessarily have to have been through that story. Like Pre-Loved is a song about a battered wife, and I've never been a battered woman, but I can associate with that feeling and tell that story for her.
Yeah.
Whereas the song that I've written recently that's not out there yet is mine, like rock bottom. I'm feeling those things, that's come out of me. But it doesn't have to, I can just write. Doesn't mean it's brilliant or any good, but I can just do it.
So for anyone that might be looking to get into the writing side, is there any sort of like tips or advice you might be able to give them?
Yeah, just do it. I mean, do you mean music or do you mean books or?
Yeah, that was a bit of a silly question. Yeah. Well, like let's just keep it music. Let's just keep it music. Yeah.
I think these days anything goes, because if you listen to stuff, when you hear stuff in the charts, I mean, sometimes it's just nonsense, but with the right hook and the right melody, it sounds great. I mean, Hey Macarena, there's it just right. Just if you put down on paper, and I hate the word authentic because it's bandied about so much, but if you put down on paper how you're feeling, that's going to touch somebody somewhere. And if you aren't musical, but you want to put it to music, then find somebody to collaborate with. I mean, I picked up the guitar in lockdown. I just started learning chords. And with the note, I'm like, okay, I can hear that, and that goes with this. So I could put virtually like poetry to this music. But like I say, I've been around music for a long time, and I kind of have that skill. But if you're new to it, the best way to write is just to write. And it's that simple.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, lovely. Also as well, like you got you wrote the book as well, Write to Feel Better. Would you say that as like that could help in any way? Like
that's my so I wrote that's from personal experience. So these are all the exercises that I've kind of created during my life to get me through the past, the history, stuff like that. And I really needed them. So like I say, writing for me is cathartic, it's therapy, it's kind of everything. Like some people talk to people. I'm a writer, I write it out. And the exercises in that book are all very personal. They're things that I've been through and the way that I found a path through them by using writing.
Nice. Lovely. All right, so again, with the not so much in the get to know, but you said it in one of the podcasts, you gave but you gave an explanation. You gave an explanation of your past and your story and stuff. It was something I also got like, all right, not all the story, but there were some bits that I was kind of like, oh yeah, I feel a little bit of that. And there was sort of, and you sort of gave a bit of the answer as well in one of the get to knows, about sort of, shall we say, like holding yourself back and wasn't quite sure, about whether to go forward with it, and stuff like that. And that was something that I also kind of struggle with. So after hearing that, and spending quite a lot of time sort of holding yourself back and stuff, but then picking up a guitar in lockdown. So how does it feel? How does it feel now to be, shall we say, following your passion of music?
It's kind of surreal, and I still haven't conquered those particular fears, definitely not. I'm very confident in the writing of the music and the singing of the songs, especially in, like, I know how I want them to sound. I hear them. It's almost like they drop into my head.
Mm.
Um, and I'm okay in the studio, but that took a bit of getting used to. I still haven't done many live performances. I have a huge mental block around that, from the past. I was a bullied kid. I was always picked on and belittled and laughed at. So all of that, that all of that is there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how many times people tell me that, I've got talent or they like the sound, they can't wipe out 50, however many years of that kind of abuse and kind of mental health issues, So it's things that I've still got to work on. But having done the recording and having done a year's worth, like I've been on a 6 weeks release program, so there's a lot of my songs out there. Looking at the back end of Spotify and iTunes and seeing that people are listening to you all around the world, globally, is really freaky, really freaky,
Yep.
really surreal. And I don't quite understand, I don't quite get it, really. I don't quite feel it, I think is what I'm saying. So I've still got those things, and the holding back thing it's nonsense, but we all do it, and we all do it because of things that have happened to us in our past. And it's such a shame. There are so many people out there with talent that we'll never see or never hear because somebody once ridiculed them or put them down and gave them that hang up, which they're now trying to get out of. It's a harsh world. So I guess the thing to do is to just do it. I'm just doing it at 61. I mean, what a waste of all of those years.
Mm. Yeah, I understand it. Although I don't know if I call it a waste. I mean, some might say it a waste, but you've also done other things. As we say, you've written blogs, you've written books, like other musical performances. So, you've had your shall we say your feet in the water. It may not necessarily have been music now, but you've been doing that. So, and you've been learning the experiences and stories to share. So I don't know if I'd say it was a waste. I mean, I will agree, but I will also disagree with that point. So, but yeah, but now you're coming around, you're coming into what you're doing now, like the next chapter. And now it's just about sharing. It's just, as you say, storytelling. Now you've hit that chapter, and now you're building up to wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do. I'd say this is it. Like in action movies where you spend the time with, like, here we are, we get, like, now like we're in the middle of the film. I mean, we've had the beginning, we've met the characters.
Struggle.
Yeah, we've met the characters, we met the good, we met the bad, we met the why. And now we're just putting that all in. You're building up, you're building your people, building the stuff like that, and we're getting ready for that, or you're getting ready for that explosive finale scene. Do you know what I mean? To really whip out the catchphrase and get you a sequel. That's where you're going. That's where you're going. So
right.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say it was a waste, but but then also going back about what you said about being bullied and stuff like that. Like that was one of the reasons why, I resonate with it so much. I was bullied a lot as a kid. Had a bit of a tough time, like, with my father and stuff like that. So yeah, I understand that. And myself with music, I'm very scared to share my music most of the time. And even doing like live streams like I do, where I play other people's music, and it's kind of, I hear really good music, but then it also kind of plays on you as well. It seems like, oh man, like, that track was really good. Like, I don't know if I can if I can hit, like if I can get anywhere near that or stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely understand the inner demons that we fight, because like, even, like, it's a bit of a tangent, I apologize, but when I started this 3 years ago, I started doing interviews, and I was like, oh yeah, it's all right, and then I stopped because I didn't quite believe in myself, and left it for a little while, and then I was just like, oh yeah, I'm like, might have to bother talking to people anymore, like it's all good. And then next minute I know I got asked to do one in June, like June, July sort of time, and then that was like, I don't know, I don't know if I'm good enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so I don't know why I did it to myself, but I went and did it. I went and, like, I was like, right, what's a good way to interview people? Go and find, I went and watched a couple of podcasts. I even went and watched a couple of, like, Parkinson's. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
amazing.
yeah, mate, Parky was a legend.
He was. He
He
really
was a
was.
legend. Like,
Yeah.
little Michael Parkinson. Like, for anyone, like, I don't know if, like, the American or anyone abroad really know Michael Parkinson, but if you look him up, he was an absolute legend, and his career lasted years. And he's like, some of his interviews, like,
Oh,
are just
incredible.
spot on. Like, the way that he was kind of able to use that, even though he was there talking to him as an interview, you could tell, like, a lot of them, he was level with them. It was
Yeah.
just a natural conversation. Like,
He was
some of them were great,
incredible.
and I was just like, okay, right, how I mean, that probably didn't help my self-esteem, but it was something I did. And I was like, right, how, like, is my research good enough? Is this good enough? How can I come across to people? Do you know what I mean? So that was, that was definitely something that
Mm.
kind of plagued me and still plagues me. So yeah, I definitely understand that. And like, I completely forgot where I was going with that. Yeah, like, I completely understand, the past being a massive factor,
Mm.
and just kind of doing it. So yeah, like,
Just got to break through it. You just got
mm,
to. And the one thing is, like, I kind of, you know, not everybody's going to like my music. Not everybody's going to like your style,
mm,
but there are lots of people that will. So our stuff is all for someone. There's an audience for it.
yeah.
So it's just reaching them, isn't it?
Definitely. Like, do you follow, it's a bit of a random thing, but do you follow Gary Vee at all on
Gary V. So I've seen him live because one of my good friends is a lady called Shah, and she's one of this country's top female entrepreneurs.
mm,
And I used to do, like, work with her, coaching and stuff in London a few years ago. And
nice.
she actually went and did, God, where was it? It was in the boxing hall down in London, and Gary V was on, and then she was on. So I've seen him live, and
Mm,
yeah, he's got an interesting perspective, and he's massive, isn't he?
yeah. Like,
He's
the one thing I like about, get, like, although he's insanely blunt, is, now, he is, building the thing around, it doesn't, like, age isn't a thing. Do you know what I mean? Age isn't a thing. It doesn't, it doesn't matter whether like, whether, oh, how do I say it doesn't matter what age you start, as long as you start, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? I
yeah.
mean, like the guy that did KFC, was it Colonel Sanders? He didn't do it till, like, 70 or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it doesn't matter, and it's just kind of, start everything's gonna look crap. Do you know what I mean? You can go and see all these polished things now, but I guarantee you, most of the people that you like, look at like Apple, Microsoft, stuff like that. They all started in a garage.
Yeah.
And now they're out in Silicon or Silicon, however you pronounce it, Valley. Like,
Silicon
they're all out in
Valley.
LA making money. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it doesn't matter whether we're sat here in in a garage in our room, or with the bare essentials. Just kind of do it. I mean, don't get me wrong. This, like, whatever you're doing, the hardest part is normally pressing record. Like, especially, if you want to go live or something like this, or if you want to do singing, like, the hardest part is just record.
It's just doing it. Yeah,
Mm.
I don't see, I've never really seen age as a deterrent to anything that I wanted to do. I think it was 2017. So how many years ago is that? 5. So I was at 56 or something when I went to India. I went to yoga school and trained as a yoga teacher
Oh
there.
yeah.
So, and that was one of the best things I've ever done. Um, what I do find is you have to have the right mentality. I have friends who are younger than me, but it's almost like they give up due to the age factor, and that is really sad, because there's still so much you can do, and as long as you keep yourself in good health, there aren't really any limits.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And as we were kind of saying, before we started this, age, it's all like the more experience, the more sort of chapters you get under your belt, the more stories we can share with the world, and hopefully the more people we can reach with our music, because everyone's got that song from, I don't know, from a memory and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's got that song from a memory, and the more we can grow as people, the more experiences we get, the more memories we get, and the more we can sort of put them in our mental scrapbook, and
Mm.
and share them with the world, because there's what, 8 billion people or something on the world, like,
Something crazy like
yeah,
that.
like eight bit. I think it's like 8 billion people now.
Yeah.
And so as you were saying earlier, there's someone there for everyone.
Yeah.
um
And we learned from it. I mean, I
yeah,
found this out recently. This is crazy. I don't know whether you know this. I'm surprised I've only just found this out. So, the first record I ever bought, and I mean record 45,
mm,
was Band of Gold by Frida Payne. I must have been 8 years old, something like that. But I loved the song. And it's always been, a really poignant song for me. Because it's a memory for me from when I was a kid. And it was the
yeah.
first song I ever bought. Recently, I thought maybe I should cover that. So I had a little look into it. And do you know what it's about? Do you know the song?
I'm not off the top of my head. No, I might have heard it. I do like a good bit of Magic FM
Yeah,
in the evenings, but
Google it, Google it. But
uh,
so this is a song that came out in, it must have still been this, what was I, 8? And so it must have been really tail end of 60s or early 70s, right?
mm,
And she's singing Now That You've Gone, All That's Left Is a Band of Gold. So we think that this is about, a marriage,
yeah,
and a breakup.
yeah,
But it turns out when they wrote about the stigma of being gay in that era, and being forced to, or doing the right thing by marrying a woman. And that is actually what the song is about.
wow,
Incredible. I had no idea until very recently when I looked it up and thought I might, cover it, and then found out the story. And that must have been a really big thing back
mm,
in the day. And it must have been quite a common thing to do. And there it is, getting its message out in a song, but nobody really knows. So
yeah,
that's how powerful music is.
yeah, yeah. That's, well, I didn't know that.
What a story.
Yeah. Well, also as well, like, it was like, you think everything was very taboo then, like,
So I guess that's why it was in a song like that.
yeah, the bet, like, I mean, again, I can't say I might have heard the song. I can't record it off the top of my head, but I mean, kind of, thinking about it now, it's, everyone sort of had to, as you say, had to go by this sort of unspoken rule.
Mm.
You got to do everything by the book, and if you got to, shall we live like live against who you are, in order to, shall we say, not be outcasted, is is quite tough, and to have to sort of do what you want to do, but like, the eyes are watching you. Like, that's tough. That's tough. Like,
Yeah. But getting that, out in a song was kind of clever in a way,
yeah,
um, and a form of expression, I guess. So, yeah, I never knew that. And I'm still learning stuff about music, from all the way back then.
yep, yeah, definitely,
So,
definitely. So when you say, you say sort like songs as as memories as one, and you know you've just said Band of Gold, but is there another song that really kind of really kind of brings everything home, like, so, I'll give an example. Um so for me, Snow Patrol and Run.
What a
um
song.
yeah,
What a song.
and there's two reasons why, like, that song hits me hard. Is one, it kind of reminds me of when, you know, I just kind of got into the whole drinking thing with friends. We weren't old enough to go to the pub, and you know, it was like, oh, little tickle here, little tickle there, that sort of thing. So you know, it's like going to with friends, having a little taste, and you know, and that was kind of one of the songs that my friends enjoyed singing. So it was, you know, it was kind of like it became almost like a drunken anthem, like if I could stay awake that long. But then the second is, we played that at my dad's funeral as well. So that's two, like, that's one song that brings up very different things. So yeah, I don't know if there's have you got one like that as well?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I've got You're Not Alone, Michael Jackson. And we recorded it for my brother's funeral. So that's a very poignant song for me. And also a bit of an anthem for me is Strength, Courage and Wisdom by India Ari. That's, you know, been listening to her for a long time. But the words are, you know, Strength, Courage and Wisdom is a great song if you've never heard of her before.
Nice. Who was it again? Sorry.
India Ari.
Is that India is in the country, India?
Yeah, India. And then it's Arie, I believe. She's doing more Sanskrit singing, which I'm a real fan of. I've done some Sanskrit singing, obviously the connection to the yoga, beautiful. So it's the chanting, but done in like Adgare Name. I don't know if you've heard of any of those, but India Ari is now doing a lot of that, as well as you'll find a lot of the singers are doing now. They're kind of leaning towards that. Or going into it a bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, nice.
But yeah, I get the funeral thing, and it, you know, while it's it can be painful, it's also a very beautiful memory. I mean, that's what music is all about, isn't it? Like, it touches you.
Definitely. So so you released your first song in August last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've released 10, like, till till since August. I don't think you've released one this month. So your last one dropped August the 18th.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you got 10 songs. Like, that's quite a bit.
It's mental.
Like, yeah, 10 songs in a year. That's quite the work, like quite the workload.
Yeah.
So you know, from dropping your first song, not in lockdown, to your new song, what would you say is, like, oh, hang on, I've completely messed that up. So from releasing your first song to the song you've got now, like, how does it feel, like, releasing them, you know, now that you've released 10 songs?
It's still exciting because you just never know how they're gonna resonate, how people are gonna feel about them. But I feel like I'm growing and maturing in my songwriting as well, which is great. I'm really enjoying that. And so the writing of them, the actual writing of them, is really enjoyable. It's exciting. And then getting them to work with the music, it's kind of like it's like eating your favorite meal, you know, when it all comes together and you're like, yes, you know, it's like that. And when you get that song, and you know, when I sing my lyrics, or I can feel that, you know, and the hope is that somebody else will be able to feel it. I do have a bit of a habit of writing sad songs. I think I've got a lot of sadness in me from the past, and I'm just getting it out,
Yeah.
in music. And there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. Um,
Oh, no. No,
yeah,
like,
I guess it's like creating a great meal.
yeah, personally, I love a sad song. I love a sad song. I do. Like, to if most of the ways I've gotten into some of the artists that I like myself. I'll if they're recommended by someone I know, I'll be like, just tell me the saddest song on the album. Like, just tell me the saddest song, and if I'm with it, I don't really mind the rest. I'm more than happy to. I will personally search out the saddest song of that artist, because I don't mind upbeat songs. They have their place, but for me, I'm more of a sad. I love the sadness. I love the dark. Like, darkness might be a bit of a strong word, but I love what it brings. I love
No,
what it
I
brings.
I agree. I've got a song called Barbed Wire, and it's very dark. Well, I've just
Yeah.
heard a country tune. But you mentioned Run and Summer Snow Patrols, some of their lyrics, and also Keen. Do you remember Keen?
Yeah, yeah.
That
Somewhere only we go.
Oh,
Yeah,
we know.
yeah,
Some of that. Wow, I've got like goosebumps really thinking about it. Some of the lyrics, they just hit you right here. So
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Mm.
Like, I did, like, when I was young, I didn't mind a bit of Bruce Springsteen. I wasn't a massive Bruce Springsteen fan when I was young, but
I've been
a
to
bit
see
bit a
him.
bit of dancing in the dark. Do you know what I mean? Like, and but then for some, like, my friend lent me his album. I don't know why, but he was just like, "Yeah, just do it, just do it." I was like, "All right," and then he's got a song. Oh man, he's got lots of songs, but Atlantic City.
Hmm.
To be honest, the whole Nebraska album is incredible. That is hauntingly
Yeah.
brilliant. And then The River as
The
well,
River,
where
what a song.
where
Yeah.
he's basically talking about his sister's marriage,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh my days, that is that
He's
is
a
something else.
storyteller. He's a storyteller. I saw
Mm.
him at Wembley, and he's a great. His presence is, yeah, so
Yeah,
good.
my friend went to see him at Hyde Park, when he played the whole 3 hour set.
God, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, man, I'd be dead after half an hour. And my friend brought a standing, like, he brought the standing tickets. I was like, there's no way I'd stand for 3 hours. Well, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, when you're in the moment, you'd stand for 3 hours, but when you think 3 hours, that's a lot.
It is incredible. Do you know, one of the best experiences like I had with music was like years ago. I come from London anyway.
Mm.
And for a short period of time before he left for America, I was friends with Seal.
Oh
And
yeah.
it was just before he did his Kiss for a Rose album. And he rang me one day and he said, "Can you come round?" And I said, "Yes." So we went round, me and just my friend. And he played the entire Kiss from a Rose album acoustically
Stop it.
before it was released. Yeah. And every single song had hit written all over it. And it was, it was an incredible experience. And he's like, "What you think?" And we're like, wow.
Man,
Wow. Yeah, that was incredible. And
that's nuts.
he went to America and we lost touch. But yeah, that was before he released it. But that album, that was quite a significant album, I think, for the times as well.
Mm.
Um, such good tracks on there, great lyrics.
Well, and it's basically now, and well, I don't know if you call it an anthem or a ballad, or an anthemic ballad even.
Yeah, maybe a
But
bit of both.
yeah, like, it's played everywhere, isn't it? That
Yeah, for
song there.
those times, it was iconic, and you could just where he played it. I mean, he just sat there and played it, and you could just hear, you just knew it was going to be a monster.
Mm,
Good. Yeah.
definitely, definitely. So you spoke about, like, the release you get when you release music, and how it feels for you. So could you like sort of talk about that a little bit more? Like, what is the kind of release that it gives, like, that releasing music gives you?
It's like for me, I've got lots of stories to tell. I'm 61. I've lived a very long life. I've lived a very crazy life, not very, traditional or normal. I've been here, there, and everywhere. And if you try and sit and talk to somebody about that, they'd be like falling asleep because you wouldn't be finished one story for hours and hours. There's so much to tell. But if you put it in a song and you just get the feeling across, it's almost like you've got a great big release from it, because you've got all of that emotion out without having to go through the entire story. And it's like how we hear anything, how we hear music, even when the lyrics aren't as clear, we get it, we know what that's supposed to feel like. And when you're writing the songs and you do that and it comes out and you're just like, yes, that's what I want the feeling to be. Yeah. So
kind of, like like with music as the aesthetic, with the with, shall we say, the picture that you're painting.
Yeah, absolutely, because it is art, isn't it? It is art. So you're creating that, and I guess the hope is that somebody else will feel it that way. But even if they don't, you've managed to get it out. You've managed to, release that into that song, and it's a great feeling. And I guess it's a bit like the writing when you journal and all the rest of it, but it's out there and it's out there forever. And it's like, I did that, I took this and I put it out there, and it's there forever.
Yeah, like kind of like a timestamp. I mean, this is me, sort of thing.
And for people who, aren't very good at expressing how they feel, music is fantastic for that. So some people who may not be great at talking about their feelings might be fantastic at writing songs about them.
Or those may not necessarily be good with their words, but good in other areas. The music, like, if someone sort of says, how do you feel today, might be like, I'm feeling like this song or something like that. So
perfect. Yeah, perfect. It's a great form of release. So
lovely. No, I like that. Also as well, like you managed, I can't remember what song it was, but you managed to get number one on the iTunes music.
2 or 3 I've had, actually.
Yeah. I thought it was 2, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure. I knew you got the 1. I remember seeing the the post about it. I just can't remember the song.
I think that was River. So yeah, Not on Lockdown. I kind of remember Not on Lockdown was 18, and then what was the next one that I released? Oh, I can't remember, but I think it was River that went to number 1, and then the song that followed River went to number 1, and then the one after that went to 2, I think. And then I've had some 4s and 3s and stuff in the iTunes, like Apple charts, which that is stupidly insane. When you see your name and your song sitting above Etta James, it's like, yeah, let me screenshot that for posterity, have it back to my grandkids.
Yeah, no, that's quite something. Like, and especially as we said, you picked up a guitar during lockdown, to do that, and to just kind of like start playing guitar and trying to get your thoughts down. Then 2 years later, you're basically a top 10 on iTunes,
crazy,
and pretty much consistently. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's nuts. Like, so
it is mental. It does show you that there's an audience for you out there, and that people like your stuff, whether you believe it or not. You're kind of getting used to it. Yeah. It's interesting, and I still don't really know how to feel about it.
I don't think I would either, to be honest with you. That's it's definitely something. Like, right. I don't know what I'd do.
It's crazy.
Probably go and treat myself.
You'd what? Go and treat yourself?
Probably, yeah. Go and buy a cheesecake. Treat myself.
That's what Dutch does. He rings me up and he goes, "Go and celebrate," and I'm like,
Yeah. All right, I'll put the kettle on.
And how do you say it to people? You know, how do you say it to people? Oh, it went to number one, and you're just like, oh God, am I bragging? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. I was just about to say that. Yeah, like
it is a
you,
very, very strange concept, and you have all kinds of dependent on, you know, your past. You have all different things going on in that head about where
mm.
that is sitting. You know, it's a very strange
Yeah.
thing.
Well, I guess as we were sort of saying, it's oh, what's the word I'm looking for? That's a show. I can't quite remember the word, but it's that seal of approval. You know what I mean? It's that kind of like, I guess in some ways you're good enough. You know what I mean? Like it's that thing, like to get it once, to get it twice, and then to get it 3 times. It's just like, yeah, all right, I've got something here.
Mm.
So I mean, it's kind of like that. I think for me, because I'm very insecure about my work, but I think like to get it, once, twice, 3 times a good time, but it's there, isn't it? It's that seal of approval, and
Yeah.
that probably I don't know for you. I'm just kind of going off of myself, but it's that thing to say,
Yeah, you're
like what I'm
right.
looking for.
Yeah, you're right. That is kind of what it is. It's cementing that in your head is a bit strange.
Mm.
And also talking about it, or, you know, because people, as sad as it is, people don't really want to know that, you know, and if you talk about it, it's like, oh, here she goes again, you know. So you kind of I keep a lid on it. I just go, yeah, yeah, you know, because how you're
Mm.
supposed to, you know, if you get famous or whatever, then there can be no doubt, and you know, people automatically know. But
Mm.
when people say to me, what do you do? And I go, oh, you know, and they go, anything I would have heard. And I'm like, well, I don't know, I doubt it, but I've done this, blah blah blah. And then I kind of shut up about it, because it just feels like you're
Yeah.
bragging.
Yeah.
So, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, and as I guess if you're with people that, shall we say, have heard it a few times. You know what I mean? Like like, even if I don't know, say for example it's a friend or something. You're with your friend, and like you meet other people when they say, as you said, what have you done? I've done this and that, and I guess in some ways some people kind of are waiting for the, oh, and by the way. But then I think that also kind of depends on some people's characters. Some people will literally just go, oh, what'd you do? Oh, 3 times top 10 on iTunes artist. Want my autograph? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, whip out the hand. I've got a Sharpie in my pen, like in my bag. You know what I
no.
mean? But then there are others who kind of be like, what'd you do? "Oh, yeah, I make a bit of music here and there." Do you know what I mean? Like, so there are some, and then I guess it's kind of, if, as you say, if people bring it up, like you say, if people are famous, everyone knows the famous people's accolades. They're there,
Yeah,
they're on the news. But
yeah.
if people bring it up, I don't know, say, like if someone said to you, what's your biggest achievement in music, and you would just say, I've hit top 10 3 times, and it's like, like, okay, I weren't expecting that, but okay. You know what I mean? So yeah, I guess it depends on some people, but then I know a few people will kind of be like, oh, here they go again. It's like,
Exactly. And
it's
and we know that that's their insecurity and their thing, but
mm,
you still don't, I still don't want to rub it in or trigger
yeah,
that in them. I don't want to be doing it. I don't feel like I need to do it. I make music. I love making music. I don't make loads of money at it, but that's not going to stop me, because I really enjoy doing it. And it's very rewarding for me, because there's bits of my soul out there, and I know that they're connecting with other people. So in some way,
yeah.
that's helping other people. So I'm good with that.
Nice, nice, nice.
Mm.
I like that. I like that. Um. What is your latest project?
So I wrote. I think, you know, we've discussed, I think, mental health before,
Mm,
um, and everybody has some kind of issues going on, and mine do trigger me now every now and then. And I had like an incident recently, and it really did feel like, it felt really, really low.
mm,
And I wrote a song about that. But I also wrote a song for my friend's wedding, like my good friend's wedding. And the guitarist that I have now, I've got a new guitarist, and she's fantastic. 24 years old, classically trained, been playing for 12 years, and
Nice.
such precision. I watch her fingers and I'm in awe. She's fantastic. But she's really loving playing some of my stuff, and I get her and she gets me. So I'm excited about that, very excited about it. So those two songs are really in the mix at the moment, and I've not taken either of them to the studio. So they're very much kind of how I hear them. But now with a guitarist, I can really express the music side of it, because I can play guitar, but I still haven't mastered the F. You'll find that all my songs are written in, the 6 or 7 chords that I know.
Yeah. Oh, I think sorry to cut you off, but I think speaking of chords, like I think Johnny Cash wrote most of his songs in like D minor or something like that, wasn't it? He didn't have a clue.
I love a minor chord. I really do. It suits my voice. But yeah, so I'm really excited to be working with her. And I think that's bringing another edge to my music. In the studio, obviously Dutch can add instruments and stuff and make it bigger and like that, but actually working one-on-one with a guitarist, because I know how I want this to sound in my head. My fingers can't always do it. So that's really, really exciting. And we did a little jam the other day, and she played something. Bearing in mind she's 24, so her music history isn't going to be as wide as mine.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, Wade in the Water. I love that song." Obviously, Eva Cassidy. And she went, "No, I'm playing Hit the Road Jack." And I said, "It's the same tune." So we did this little riff where I did one and she did the other. And it was such a joy, and I think that is what my projects are about: joy and happiness and how they make me feel and the enjoyment of doing them. I never want to be working on music where it feels like a chore.
Yeah. And like also, you say you've got this classically trained guitarist as well now, like, and going to the studio. I mean, knowing, I mean, you might be able to take Dutch with you. I know he does play guitar and stuff, but
he does.
I don't know about his travelings up and down the country to gigs and stuff. But now that you've got the the guitarist, so that it's going to be you and her pretty much all the time. So it's how does that, as we say, how does that music make you feel? How does that make her feel? And it's that one-on-one, and as you were saying as well, she's playing Hit the Road, and you'll talk Wade, I've forgotten it.
Wade in the Water.
There we go. Wade in the Water. And and now you're
it's
teaching,
great.
teaching each other different things, you've all covered sampling, but yeah. And so as I was saying, it's kind of that one-to-one with how you feel, and then whether she goes to the studio with you or not to record it, I don't know, but so you two are able to put down how you feel, and because that's how you're going to be playing it. And then Dutch is able to put over those, shall we say, the icing on the cake. So
absolutely. Yeah, and she's like, we're gonna go out gigging. So Southend Jazz Festival is happening next weekend, and I kind of helped out a little bit with that. But there's a showcase on the 5th, and I might go down with her and do a number or two. I might, but the option is there. But because I've worked with her and I'm comfortable with her, it won't be as intimidating than getting up and singing with the house band.
Yeah. And also it's both of you as well. You're both. I don't know whether she's been on stage or not, but
she's done a lot of performance, like with classical guitar, so she has a lot of performance experience but no recording experience.
Again, there you go. It's that kind of, like, if it comes to recording, you've got experience recording, 10 songs under your belt and more to come. I mean? So she's that's your strength. She's able to lean into that. whereas
Yeah.
like hers is like performance. You know, you're able to lean into that.
Mm.
So oh, I think that's pretty damn nice.
She's a bit Bianca, her name is. She's a very,
Yeah.
very cool girl. And she gets me like this barbed wire. I wrote this song last summer and I've taken it to the studio and we keep throwing it out because it doesn't work in the studio. And I love it, but it's dark, you know, the lyrics are dark. And I when I wrote it, it was quite dark. And I said to her the other day, I want to turn this into a country song.
Hmm.
Same chords, but I want to turn it. And she just picked up a guitar and went da 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 da, and I started singing it, and it just flowed. So she gets me, you know, and yeah, so it's very very cool. And I think you have to be lucky. I've gone to see a few different guitarists to see, you know. Um, Normally they're older, so they have their own vibe going on, a little bit set in their ways, and I'm just like not quite right for me. So, and I found this Bianca on Vamper. Do you know Vamper?
I don't know.
It's an app. So I just downloaded this app, and it's just like for musicians, and you put what you're looking for or who you're looking for. And she was one of the people that messaged me on here, and it was just an instant, you know, connection when we met. The vibe was great. So yeah.
Lovely. Yeah. So you spoke also in the get to know about the mental health aspect and um not feeling 100%. Um, what like and like feeling kind of like the outcast and um and rebellious. Like what like would you say it was kind of like in part like what kind of inspired that? Would you say it was kind of like imposter syndrome sort of thing?
No, never that. So I've
Uh,
always been the misfit. I've always been on the outside. I was never, you know, I was very unpopular. I never fit in. I'm, you know, a little bit different to most people, whether that's by nature or nurture, I don't know. But I, you know, I'm tall for a start as well. So I was always tallest in the class. You know, I come from the East End of London, but my grandma wanted me to, you know, she used to dress me in beautiful clothes. And, you know, so I always stood out a little bit. That didn't make me popular. I loved school. I loved learning. That didn't make me popular either. And I got bullied quite badly. I used to spend a lot of time in the library. So I've never really fit into the traditional, you know, I mean, my nan died. I ended up in a children's home, then hostels and all that kind of stuff. And sorry, let me turn that off. Um, so, you know, I was always on the outside of something, never really fitting in. And you feel when you're going through that like it's a curse, but sometimes it's a blessing, really, because you know you're on a different path and you're meant to do different things, but really all you want to do is be the same as everybody else, you
yeah.
know. And you see people like now these days, it's a big thing about being different. And I always want to say to people, trust me, you don't want to be really different. It's one of the loneliest places in the world, especially when you're younger, because you just don't fit anywhere. There's nobody really you can talk to for me, hence all the writing, because nobody really understands what you're saying or where you've been because they've not been through it. And it's a real lonely thing. And I think that a lot of creatives go through something similar, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But it has long lasting mental health effects, and you have a lot of triggers, hence why I wrote that book. You know, how because some of the information in there is about how to overcome the triggers and stuff like that. But yeah.
No, yeah, I, I definitely feel that. You know, like, oh, I can't remember it now. There's a what is it? So like I can't remember the lyric. I'm not even gonna try. But yeah, there are there are a lot of people who kind of wish to fit in, and shall we say, in enjoy what others are enjoying. But I think
Mm.
but I mean, I don't know. Again, whether whether you want to call it this like destiny, or whether it's nature, whether it's nurture, or something. But I think like life, it sort of takes us on that different path. I mean, again, I don't know what you believe in, but there's something higher than us. Like has a goal for us, and sometimes we kind of have to go through these things, and as horrible as they may be and as hard as they may be, it's, I guess in some ways it's kind of preparing us so that we can, or you can tell as a creative, the world. I guess in some ways is
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree with you. I think there's a lot of things, horrific, punishing, hellish things that some people have to experience to actually help other people eventually, So be
But
that
then
through any mode of expression.
yeah. So I mean, and then that takes a lot on that side. But then I think if you were to flip that as well, like, I mean, all right, if you're on purposely going out your way to be different, I'm not quite sure where that one goes. So I'm going to leave that path alone. But um, I think if we've kind of been through different things, but if you do kind of look, it is kind of it's your origin story. I don't know if you're really into superhero stuff and that, but if you look at like a lot of people that have made impacts on the world, they've not necessarily, they may have longed to fit in a way, like had friends and gone out and done stuff with friends, but it's those kind of stories that have allowed them to take their own path, knowing that they're not necessarily going to be bothered by others.
Yeah.
And it's allowed them to kind of go on and change the world in a different way. So I mean, as youngins, we may not necessarily know that, but I think as we grow up, we kind of realize that maybe we're out here actually, like, I'm not going to say we're going to change the world, but we're not going to change the world, but we can change out. We may be able to change someone's world.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that 100%. And that someone's world you change might go on to be a future president who does massive things. You just never know.
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
Yeah.
So.
And hey, you never know. In a couple of years, it might be your name that someone credits for that as well. You know what I mean? So there may be someone out there be like, oh, what made you do this? I was listening to this song by Kym Vincenti. You know what I
Wouldn't
mean?
that be amazing? Job done.
What made you change the world with global warming? Kym Vincenti wrote a song.
Wouldn't that be? I mean, that's it, isn't that? That would be the icing on the cake. That would be everything.
Definitely. All right. I got one more for you. I know I've kept you a bit of a long time. I do apologize, because I love a tangent. But
no, good conversation. Good.
Oh, thank you. All right. So any advice to anyone kind of looking to get started in music, really?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it depends what you want out of it. I think the first thing to think about is what you want out of it. If you're doing it to be famous or you want to earn loads of money, I think there can different considerations. But if you do it because you love it, then just do it. And we are fortunate in one way that we live in a digital world, because you can create an audience for yourself. If you're looking to stand on a stage and fill Wembley, that's a completely different matter. But if you enjoy music and you want to write and you want to sing, it's all there for you. Look at these young TikTokers who are doing it, people on Instagram. All you need is a phone and a digital software platform. And if you've got something, then who knows what might happen. And even if your stuff is like quite niche, there's an audience for it. You just got to do it. And I always find, I know most people don't, I find it, give me a screen, a video, I'm as good as gold. Give me a stage and I'm like, oh no, not real people in real life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so find what suits you best. I mean, if you look at Ed Sheeran and all the work that he put in with his guitar and just out and up and down the country and doing it, that man had the passion for it, you know, and nothing was going to stop him.
Mm.
So that's what he did. But not everybody's got the guts to do that or the drive to do that. And it depends what you want, but we all have the ability to record stuff on our phones and put it out there. So
Yeah.
I met Ed Sheeran actually. I do a little bit of extra work every now and then, and I did his one of his songs that had Cardi B in it. And we did a night shoot in this mansion in Hertfordshire. And we had to wear like, you know, well, I was a girl in a red dress. I think I'm in the video for 1 second with the girls in a red dress. But he came over to me because we had these wine glasses that had no bottom on them, so you couldn't put them down.
Oh, yeah.
And he came over to me when he first walked in. He said, "Where are you going to put that then?" I said, "I have no idea." But he was really short but really friendly, which was nice. So yeah, I'm actually in an Ed Sheeran video, but 1 second.
Hey, 1 second's better than none. It's still a credit, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like,
it is. See, credited. I can talk more about that than I can my number one.
Man, everyone's got one of those stories.
Yeah.
I didn't meet Ed. I have not met Ed Sheeran, but I met when I was at uni. They had one of the girls that helped him write Shivers.
Oh yeah.
And Shivers is I don't even know the numbers on it, but it's like it's definitely up there in the billions. And yeah, and like, you know, so watching, I don't know what's going on there, but what, you know, like list, like she was a childhood, like, or is a childhood friend of his. You know, they still talk and stuff, and you know, she was fortunate enough to write songs with him, and
amazing,
crazy. And you know, like what she was talking about, you know, from when they were younger, like as you said, you know, he picked up a guitar, he was busking, and you know, he stayed, like, had the determination, had the consistency, and the discipline and everything like that to keep going. And you know, now look, and
yeah, now look at him.
Yeah, and it's crazy, filling out stadiums all around the world.
So much respect for him, so much respect. Yeah, incredible.
Definitely. All right. That's been that. So yeah, I appreciate it. So if you want to,
it's been fun.
If you want to tell the world just kind of where they can find you, if there's anywhere you want to share.
iTunes, Spotify, Amazon. I'm on all those platforms. I've got my own, obviously I've got a website as well, but hopefully they can find me gigging sometime soon.
Well, if you're down in the South End, you never know.
Yeah, if you're down in Southend, I mean, come to the jazz festival this weekend, or next weekend. Sorry, I might do some numbers, I might not, but I'll be there, and there will be some very, very good, fantastic, in fact, jazz artists performing. In particular, come to the 5th, the Ironworks on the 5th. That's when the showcase is. So yeah, I'll be there.
Lovely. All right. Just hang around for a little bit. I'll just quickly do this, and then everything will be golden. All right, people.
Thank you so much, by the way.
Right. It's a pleasure. Honestly, it's a pleasure. Yeah. All right, people. That has been country, blues, and jazz singer songwriter Kym Vincenti. So again, going and that's Vincenti as in Vinceti. So. Yeah, so and Kym as in Kym. So yeah, go and check that out on Spotify, iTunes, and all the good stuff that you can find music. And yeah, we will speak to you all soon. Peace.